Well, so in this lecture, let's talk about strings. Strings is also one of the most important concept in Java programming. New class, and let's say string class demo. Okay. So totally there are two ways where you can define a string. So basically string is an class in Java. If anyone asks you what is string, and please don't say that it's a collection of characters. In Java point of view, the string stands for it's a class. It is one of the pre-built class in Java. So if you want to manipulate strings, then you could simply create an object of this string class, and using that object you can manipulate the string whatever you want. You can trim that, you can break the string into two parts based upon substring concept. Okay, you can concatenate two strings. That all can be done with the help of this string class. This string class has powerful methods to perform manipulation on the strings, right? So there are two ways where you can define strings, and this is one of the common and famous question asked in almost all the Java interviews. Okay, they ask you how many ways you can define a string. Okay, one way is string literal. You could define the string literal. I'll explain you what that means. Second one is by creating object of string. Now let's see one by one, and we'll understand the difference of declaring the string. So if you want to create a string, you could simply say in this fashion, string a equals to hello. Okay, now from this step a string is created which is hello, and we stored it in the variable called a. So this kind of defining a string is nothing but string literal defining. So what happens is, as I said, string is a class for sure. So what I told, if you want to create an object of the class, this is how you do, right? If there is string ab equals to new string. Okay, this is how you create an object for a class, right? Now to create a hello string, you could say simply by passing an argument into the string class, and successfully now object AB is created, and now this object AB can perform all the string manipulations on this hello string. Okay, and you can also define in this fashion, and this we say as a string literal, and this we say it as with a string class. So then what is the difference between these two? Both the strings finally have an access to this string, but you see there is some difference between that. So if you declare in this fashion at backend, however Java compiler will do in this manner. Okay, though you are not explicitly writing this line, when you declare string like this, so Java reads it understands that yes, he want a string class, and then it creates something like this in the backend. Okay, so it creates and then assigns this hello to this a variable. So this is like some direct way. Rather than using this method, you could simply call this. You need not work on new memory allocation operator and define this step. But if you don't want in that fashion, you could directly write this explicitly. If you don't define this, and if you define only this first step, then Java compiler does this work for you, and it does and assigns hello to this string. Okay, so but the catch here is, then you might be wondered, if it is so, I would go and write this step only. What is the use of writing one separate string and Java taking that headache of again converting in the back, right? So catch here is, let's say you have defined one more string, and fortunately even b variable also have hello string and a variable also have hello string, and when Java program comes here, it reads it and understands that yes, I need to create one string object called a and assign hello to it, and it does in this fashion. And now when it comes to second, before creating an object for this hello string, first it goes and checks in a string pool whether is there any hello string is already defined. If it is already defined, it simply refers this string to this object rather than creating separately one more object. Got my point? So that is the basic difference. So if you write one more string, and if it is already defined in the previous step, I mean if you have already created an object for this hello, Java will not again create object for you. It will simply point this hello string which is already present when this a object is created, and it points to this b variable, right? It will not create. But here if you want to define a string with the string class rather than this string literal, and if you say string b equals to new string hello, yeah, for your consistency I'll put a only here. And now you see what is the difference between these two and these two defining. Here, though there is already one hello object, hello string created with an object, and when the Java comes here, still it will create one more duplicate hello string and assigns to b, because here we are explicitly forcing to create an object for this class. So though there is a duplicate already present, it will still create an object for the string. But whereas in string literal defining, if object is already present in string pool, it does not create, it directly assigns to that. So that's the basic difference between creating a string with string literal object and separately creating an object with a string class. So ultimately both support string methods, okay, but there is some difference between defining it. But in most of our regular Java working experience, we prefer using this only. We just give string a equals to hello, that's it, because it's so simple, right? It's just like how you define integers, integer a equals to 5. This is how you define even string. But as string is a class, at backend it creates separate object for this hello string, and here integer is a not class and it's just a reference data type. It will assign 5 to a variable, nothing will happen at backend. Okay, so that's the basic difference, and you need to remember this. All the time people will ask this question. Fine. So in the next class, let's see what all the manipulations we can use and apply on this hello string with the object we created. Okay, yeah.